but we believe in coexistence, not at our expense. Never at our expense. Coexistence doesn't mean you come into my house and say that if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it. We put the middle finger up to people that say that. Or in the way that you do it, sorry, this is very rude. The way you do it in your country, we do this as well. Yeah, we do that to them. You know that? Yeah, we do this one. We do that one and that one. Wallahi, we don't agree with any of this bull BS. We don't accept it. We cannot accept it. And this discourse is a sham. It's a sham. It is a sham. It's not a level playing field like two sides. There's a clear oppressor and oppressed. As Norman Finkelstein says, there's a raper and a rapist. If the rapist, after getting what he wants, he's starting to rape, the raped one gets up and spits at, he said this. I spoke to him. He said, this is online. He said, if he spits at the raper and says, you know, he deserves to be spat at. Don't tell him, oh, why did you spit at him? We need to go back and circle back in history. Come on, let's be honest. The truth of the matter is this. This has been the only time for a very long time, since, I don't know, 200 AD or something, where the Jews have actually had a chance, and the Zionists, let's say, to show us how it would look like if you had a state where they were in control. And unfortunately, they're not doing a good job of it at all. What they're showing us is that it's the worst time in history, okay, probably with the exception of the Crusades in the last 2,000 years, that there's been such oppression. Bombing children, let's not pretend, oh, but you know.
Mohammed, can I answer you before
yes,
I run?
Of course.
Number one, I can't outdo you. I think you should run for Prime Minister in this place.
I'm going to run for Prime Minister.
I'll vote for you.
I'm going to run for Prime Minister in Israel. I'm going to be there.
I might vote for you there as well.
You know it's all political.
Now listen to me. I'm going to do it fast, and I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to answer a few of your points that you made. You mentioned that the British, by the Balfour Declaration, weren't on the British mandate in Palestine. It was still the Ottoman Empire.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the point I always say. The British, the colonialists, pre the state of Israel, before they even controlled the area,
yes,
already was interested in splitting two people apart.
Yes.
That's number one. So the colonialists who had this vision of breaking two people, a bond that we've had for thousands of years, were the colonialist British. That's fact number one. Fact number two is, when we talk about the colonial Brits, who occupied the area of Palestine at those times, which people kicked the colonialists out were the terrorist Jewish organizations. That's the fact. As you mentioned before, Haganah, Etzel and Lachi, these three organizations kicked the colonialist British out of the area that is called Palestine.
What you mean to say is that they committed terrorist attacks
against a colonialist power.
No. They killed civilians. All right. So let's be honest. 1940.
I'm not justifying it.
Good.
In no way at all. I'm just stating the fact of who kicked the colonialists out of that area.
No. Let's be honest. Okay. Let me challenge you. Please don't run. Please. We've had enough of people running away from conversation.
I never run away from you.
I know.
Do I run
but
away
you
from
keep saying using the word run.
No, because he has to go to.
I'm not using the word run. Let me tell you this very carefully.
Won't be allowed to come
Look.
His wife won't let him.
Let me tell you something. I know. Listen carefully.
I have your number.
No, I know, but let's just finish the conversation. Listen, bro. Okay, listen. Mechayim Begin, okay, who was part of the Menachem. Thank you. Okay, Menachem Begin, who was part of the Irgun. Okay, yes. He became the president of the country.
The prime minister.
Sorry, the prime minister from years 1977 to 1981. Correct?
I don't know exactly.
Yes.
Go back to the meet.
Okay, look, he became the prime minister of the country.
Not my country. Don't forget.
He became the prime minister of the. Listen, I want people to really think about this for a second. Okay, he became the prime minister of the country. Okay, from 1977 to 1981. And he was one of the perpetrators of the bombing on civilians in a hotel. Now I want to put it this King David Hotel, 1946, right? Now I want to put it to you this way. You have someone who's a terrorist from the Muslim community. He leads a group of terrorists and he goes to a hotel, let's say the Hilton Hotel, blows himself up, shoots some people that are going up to the hotels. Maybe they're getting a robe, they go downstairs to get the buffet. You know what I'm trying to say? You want to get a breakfast. And then you know what? You get some guy, terrorists, shoot you in the head. Okay?
I would condemn all.
Of course you condemn.
I condemn all.
Good, but
but I'm just telling you the point of it. I try to bring a different point completely. Not about the terror attacks where we condemn it, and as we have said before, evil is evil no matter who perpetrates it.
No, what I'm saying
I'm trying to bring the different point is who kicked the colonialists out.
No, but you're calling this kicking them out. This is not kicking them out. This is the British Empire and the UN rewarding a terrorist organization for their terrorism. That's what it is. That's what is happening.
Or I'll take it to the next step.
Yeah.
There are many people who say that the Muslim cause, the way to fight for Palestine is.
Are you comparing someone?
No, I'm trying to bring a point.
Yeah.
Is to do the same thing that Haganah, Etzel and Lehi did against the British, to do it against the Israelis the same, and then they will just do what the British did. They made a calculated what's called equation. The price of colonialism is this, and it's not worth it anymore. So if so many people in the Palestinian community say, you know what, we'll use the forces and idea, the same means as Haganah, Etzel and Lehi worked, and with that we will kick the Israelis out. The only problem, what I would say, is that could work against a colonialist power like the British, who the native land is where we are all standing beautifully here. The problem is when it talks about in the state of Israel, they aren't colonialists. They are in their native land. Now we can negotiate what the word native means and how far back we go, but I'm talking from their understanding. I'm talking from their understanding.
Well, from the British understanding, let's be fair.
I'm talking from the Zionistic understanding.
The British
They don't view
the same. No, sorry, they're the same because
I'll tell you why it's a difference. And agree with me at this much.
Okay.
The British could go back to Britain. The Zionists, when what they call home is Zion, is what every Jew has prayed for the last 2,000 years, is to go to that land. So they aren't colonists, they are indigenous. The word Judah, Jew, means you come from Judah. Judah is in way the state of Israel that is in the West Bank.
I understand what you're saying, but let me put it to you a different way. Everyone justifies their colonialism in a different way. America, they have a concept called manifest destiny, and by the way, almost every president has believed in manifest destiny and westward expansion. Go and research it if you don't believe me. The point of the matter is this: the British Empire did have their own set of justifications for going into lands and colonizing them. And this, I'm saying, just because you have a different set of justifications, it does not mean that it's not what it is. It is colonialism. The point is this.
And let's put it this way. On this point, Mohammed, we are going to agree 100% to disagree.
Okay,
I'll tell you why we're going to do that.
Fine.
Because we are conflating now something called Zionism and Judaism as well. And Judaism, I can't agree that you should never be able to touch for a simple reason. Because you shavists, not just I pray for it every day, I pray for it in a peaceful way, in an utopia where we'll be able to live together and the temple will be built where it was built before. Al-Aqsa and Haram al-Sharif Temple Mount will be built there, but it will be a place of prayer.
So you have to destroy that?
No destroying. A place of prayer.
Where would the Aqsa go?
It will work in a way that I'm not God. I've never done anything. I haven't created the world. I just about know when I get up in the morning what time I'm going to go to bed. I've got no idea how it's going to happen. Maybe if we talk we might come to some idea, but there's going to be a place for all mankind. Muslim brothers and Jewish brothers and Christian brothers, Hindus and Sikhs, all will be able to pray. All will be able to pray in that place. Now we could agree and disagree.
We don't want to pray in the temple. We don't want to pray in the temple.
No, but I said I'm telling you why from a Jewish perspective. I'll put a full stop at that point, because for me that is when you are crossing into my religion. Where I'll tell you why.
Let me cross.
And I don't mind if you cross into my religion.
Let me cross more.
But I got the right to say.
No.
Sorry.
Let me cross more. Let me cross more into your religion. The problem is always has been religion. Actually, I
disagree.
Let me tell you why.
I disagree because
let me tell you how. There's a lot of similarities between us, but one of them is not our conception of race. There's not one verse in the Old Testament that even condemns racism. In fact, let me tell you something. With all due respect, the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, is, for all intents and purposes, I would argue, you can derive from it an inference of racism. When you're talking about God repenting,
I'll stop you
now
there
please
again.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let me finish.
When you talk about God repenting to Israel, when you talk about the distinction between Gentiles and Jews, we cannot pretend to avoid this theological set of justifications. You do believe that you are in a hierarchy with other races, and you do believe that you're at the top of the hierarchy. This is a difference between us.
Can I answer now? You've spoken from my community, and I'm going to defend it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell you, all right, Mohammed Hijab, sorry to tell you, you are wrong.
Okay.
But the simple fact is as follows.
Go ahead.
That means Judaism is not a race, it's not a religion. I was mentioned it to you in the past. There are many contexts what makes the Jewish people as a Jewish community. Point number two is, so it's not just a race, because you could convert into Judaism. Even if I spoke to many Muslim brothers who never heard of it, but you convert into Judaism, I wouldn't advise it to anyone, but it's a fact, so it can't be race in that way.
Why wouldn't you advise it?
And I'll tell you now why I won't advise it. Number one, because it's tough, and number two is that's where we theologically differ. Because Muslims believe, I'll tell you why, stop a second, that the only way to serve God, the only way to go into paradise, whatever it is to accept Islam, and that's the way forward, because God, in your perspective, as you would call it, Allah, came for all the people of the world to accept it through the Quran, and that's the way into paradise. Now, the Jewish perspective isn't. I want to stop. Let me just finish my sentence.
Of course.
That means is from the Jewish perspective it's not that the Jewish are on a hierarchy and the rest of the world is here. It is we all serve God, just in a different way. That means is you don't have to become Jewish like you have to become a Muslim.
Let me ask you a question.
But you could
You're
go
more knowledgeable than me in Hebrew. No, before you leave, no, you can't just do this. Every time you say, listen, go. Calm down. This is transformative stuff, please. This is whatever you got to do. This is more important. Okay. Let me tell you. No, please. Let's not dictate things to each other. Look, here's the point is this. Guys, listen. Aaron, do you believe that there is a theological difference in you and me because of the fact that you're Jewish? And what is that theological difference, if there is one? Because of the ethnicity.
I believe there is no theological difference in the way what we believe in God. I believe the only difference in between people is that I believe that all people can serve God in their own way.
Okay.
And I don't believe, like Muslims, that you have to convert to Judaism to serve God.
Yes.
Now, in the end result is, do Muslims and Jews reach paradise? The answer, simple question is yes. It's not creed,
fine.
it's deed.
So, no, I accept that from you. You're basically opening a kind of open theism.
It's not open theism. No, it is as long as you. There are barriers that several of Noah that you have to keep, but that's basically it's deed, not creed.
What I'm going to do to you right now is accept what you've just said. Okay, if you listen to what I said, is that it can be inferred in that way. I didn't say that it is the only.
I said that it's a misconception of an understanding.
But that's according to your. That's no. What I'm saying.
You're talking about the no hide laws.
No, but hold on.
The overall.
No, but here's what I'm trying to say. Look. You would agree with me that first, I totally accept your. I'm not going to force my exegesis on you. You have your own ability, and your father is a major scholar. You have your own ability to look at the Old Testament and say what you want. You said that based on your reading of the Old Testament, that you have a belief of open theism, that we can go into God, we can reach God by being Muslims. I respect that. So there's no reason to be a Jew, whatever, no problem. I'm saying that despite that being the case, the fact that there have been theological justifications using ethnicity is still current. Okay, so for example, if you said to me, look, I and the majority of Muslims don't believe in terrorism, we look at the Quran and we accept that. However, there are some group of people that look at the Quran and justify terrorism from it. We have to accept that that exists so that we can deal with that. You must accept the fact that there are a lot of people in Israel who are Haredi Jews, Orthodox Jews, who use the Bible or the Hebrew Old Testament in order to make a case, for a racial case, for the superiority of the Jewish people. You might not be one of them.
What do you mean, as the state of Israel?
No. As the superiority of the Jewish people in general. The Jews and the Gentiles are separate, and that the Jewish class is higher than the Gentiles. There are some people who say that. You're not one of those.
I say it's a misconception of understanding the language and the way it's spoken.
And I agree.
Now the jobs. Thank brother for talking.
But let me just
we'll keep it up.
Give me 2 minutes. Let's finish off.
Let's finish off. We condemn violence wherever it is.
Aaron, listen. What I was going to say is this. The reason why I mentioned, by the way, Urgun and the fact that they became part of the Likud party, and is because we want to show. You talk about how much you circle backwards. We circle backwards to the inception of the state of Israel, and we realize that you have literal terrorist organizations, accepted as such, by the way, by the British, by the Americans, by the UN, by everyone, the international community, like Urgun, being absorbed into what is now the Likud party, who, of course, Netanyahu leads, or which Netanyahu leads. The point being is this: when Israel points the finger at Hamas, they have to look at their own beginning.
I always say we have to understand each other. We have to understand each other and know it.
Hamas,
100%.
Hamas has no different an ideology from the Likud party. They both actually have the same ideology. The only difference is they both believe in a one-state solution. Let's be honest. Both of them believe that.
I think it might work. It might work.
Listen,
together.
The difference between the two is just tactics and capabilities. That's what you need to understand. But the difference is, one is a group which is being condemned internationally, and the other one is a state which is being funded by the Americans.
Can we talk later on?
Yeah. All right.
All the best.
See you. So.
Salam alaikum.
Okay.
Peace upon you.
All right, thank you very much, my friend.
Bye, Mohammed.
Take care, guys. Look, guys, just to end this, it's very important. As you saw there, there's not really a case anyone can make unless they want to talk about archaeological findings. But the point of the matter is this: it is hypocrisy at the highest level. It is a double standard at the highest level when you have groups of people in the West, neoconservatives, alt-right, whatever you want to call them, who actually support the state of Israel, and they call for process of normalization with Israel. You have even Muslims voting Democrat because Joe Biden is apparently better than his alternative. Well, actually, he's not. In fact, those Muslims who voted for him should be ashamed of themselves, knowing that he would be someone who supports this cause. I say very clearly that we should not vote for any of the political parties today. Labour, Democrats, the Muslims should withhold their vote. Because you know why? I'm not saying because voting is kufr or voting is shirk or that. We don't believe in this. But what we are saying is this: if the Labour Party in this country knows that Muslims will vote for them, they don't have to work for it. They don't even have to work for it. The Democrats are pretty confident that Muslims are going to vote for it. They don't even have to work for it. But we see the fact that the Democrats, Joe Biden is saying that had a state of Israel not been there, we'd have had to invent one. This, what's his name? Starmer, yeah? I forget his first name. What's his first name? Keir Starmer, yeah? Yeah, this fool. He actually is a Zionist by his own confession, and he actually cancelled one of the meetings he had with Muslim organization because they're pro-Palestine. This guy is no different from what you have in the Conservative Party. Therefore, I say this clearly today. In addition to the social media policies that we have and our directives, we should condemn those parties, the Labour Party and the Democrat Party, and we should withhold our vote. We should never give them our vote because they are supporting the wrong side on the struggle. We can't be selfish enough to care about welfare benefits or JSA or whatever you guys, our community is like in this country, a welfare state, at the expense of our brothers and sisters in Palestine being bombed with the blessing of the likes of Joe Biden and Starmer. We cannot vote for these parties. We cannot, and we must make them work for it. If they want us to have to be very clear on this issue, it's a red line for the Muslim community. The Palestine issue is a red line for the Muslim community. And I say this once and I'll say it again. We will campaign against all political parties which do not candidly condemn the Palestine issue. And we are becoming a major demography here. We'll find in the 2021 census that we're approaching the 10% mark. So you mess around with 10% of the vote, that in the current state will make or break an election, and they know it based on first past the post system. So we are actually an important player in the voting. And what we will say is we will withhold our vote, we will withhold it. If you, as a political leader, are treating the Muslim community and the Palestinian community in the way that you're doing, and we will withhold our vote and we will condemn Joe Biden and condemn all of those who campaign on his behalf from the Muslim community as well. And they should look again at the strategies in America, the da'iyahs there, because it's a wrong strategy. This idea of maslahah, you've completely warped it and destroyed it. Where is bara'? Where you don't believe inna براء منكم مما تعبدون من دون الله كفرنا بكم وبدأ بيننا وبينكم العداوة والبغضاء أبدا حتى تؤمنوا بالله وحده. That's what Abraham said. We are disassociated with you. It's in the Quran, chapter 60, verse 7. And with what you believe in. كفرنا بكم. We disbelieve in you. وبدأ بيننا وبينكم العداوة والبغضاء. And between us is just enmity and hate. We say this to the Zionist state. There's nothing but enmity and hate between us. We hate you. And we love to hate you. And in fact, we just like, actually I'll say something. I read his book, Begin. Machayam Begin, or whatever his name is. It's called The Revolt. And he says in the beginning, how much he hates the Palestinians and how hate is a good thing. Well, you know what? We hate you too. And it's a mutual hate. There's reciprocity. We hate you too, to the Zionists that are bombing the children and killing them and making people suffer. And not even, by the way, they're not even offering compensation. Have you thought about that? If they think about that, they've killed so many people, 266 of them, 30% children, 20% women, 75% women, children and civilians. You've killed hundreds of people and you don't even want to compensate them. You've destroyed buildings and you don't even want to rejuvenate them. You don't even rebuild the infrastructure. That shows that you are targeting them all along. What do I do? What do I assume of a people who know if you press a button, 75% civilians will die, including 30 children? Would you press that button? Wallahi, think about that question for a second. Those Israeli mujrims, criminals, armies, when they were pressing the button to detonate and kill the children, imagine knowing that when I press this button, I have a 30% chance of killing a child.
Cowards.
And they do it knowing that. And in fact, they've killed 2,000 such children in the last 10 years. You know you're going to kill children. It's not fighting. That's not fighting. You're punishing a militant group with killing children.
Cowards.
Because you know why? And this show, I don't care what anyone says. They think because these are Palestinian children, they are as good as cockroaches. They are as good as animals. Wallahi, I don't even believe that. Wallahi, I believe if they saw a dog being killed, they'd feel more sorry for that dog than they feel sorry for the children of Palestine. If they saw a cat being killed, they would feel sorry for that cat being killed, and they would not feel sorry. They would feel happy and joy as they parade and enjoy seeing the children. And we're not going to forget it just because there's a ceasefire. What do you mean ceasefire? You've killed 266 people. We're going to continue shouting at the top of our lungs, and we are going to continue putting pressure on you. We are a lot of people here. There's 50 million Muslims in Europe. Who do you think you are? Wallahi, who do you think you are? Don't ever think that we're going to remain quiet. We're too big a number. Pew says we're going to be one of every 3 people in 50 years. You can't get rid of us. There's no genocide that can deal with us. No nuclear weapon can get rid of us. We're in every city in the world. And not only are we in every city in the world, now in the age of technology and the internet and social media, we are going to be influencing every city in the world. And we are going to be dealing with the oppression that you want to exact upon us. Because I tell you one thing, wallahi, and let everybody hear this. They tell us, the Muslim leaders, so-called Muslim influentials, the scholars, the clerics, they say, look, you need to find out why there's a radicalization problem. Why there are people blowing themselves up, why there is 7/7, why there is 9/11, why there is the Manchester bombing, why? Osama bin Laden, when he wrote his fatwa, in I don't know, the early 2000s, the first thing he used as ammunition for his jurisprudential position was the Israel-Palestine conflict. The first thing he used, he mentioned it in 2 fatwas he wrote. Go and see the fatwas. He used the Israel-Palestine conflict. And he said the fact that America is supporting Israel means that they are complicit in their crimes and they are killing our civilians, and therefore we should go and kill their civilians. That's the argument. Do you want to know what the Al-Qaeda argument is? It's that. That is the argument. They're killing our civilians, therefore let's kill theirs. Tell me the difference between that argument and the Lukin argument. Tell me the material difference between that argument and the ISIS or the Israeli argument. Israel is saying they're throwing rockets at us, they're detonating bombs, therefore we need to bomb their most densely populated areas. We need to kill their civilians, collateral damage. That's what they're trying to do as well. So Osama bin Laden uses this as ammunition. And when you have weak words, fumbling, pathetic, weak words from world leaders like Joe Biden saying that Israel has the right to defend itself, you are putting your own populations at danger, you foolish people, by saying that. Some fool now, some Muslim hyper-zealous fool will take your words and then contradistinct it, juxtapose it, contrast it, change it, analyze it in corroboration with, they will compare it with the words of Joe Biden. And what that narrative does, that political narrative, it gives complete currency to the terroristic position, the radical Muslim position. Then don't come to us and say, why are you not de-radicalizing these people? We're trying to de-radicalize them and tell them, actually, we don't believe in killing women and children in any circumstance. Because the Prophet said this, and the Prophet said that, and the Quran says this, and the Quran says that. But when emotions get into the picture, our argument, which is a rational and textual and jurisprudential argument, will not be as strong as the emotional argument of the terrorists. And you're making their argument stronger by siding with Israel. So don't be shocked to find some dumb guy, some monstrous Muslim blows himself up in the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to be shocked. If I see that, I'm going to expect it. I'm not going on trains. You're putting your own populations in danger. You're putting us in danger by not taking a firm stance. Because they say, okay, if we're going to trade on civilians, we're going to kill your civilians as well. It's an alliance, they say. The leaders of this country and the leaders of the West have a duty to their own populations. And to us, to make their position clear. Don't have double standards when it comes to terrorism. Do not, because that will make the world a more dangerous place. And we're looking for world peace. We're looking for a situation where we've got nuclear weapons, 7 billion people. We can't handle this stuff anymore. So this is what I say.
So many good things.
Okay, and therefore I conclude.
Science, technology, medicine.
Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Some of the
barakatuh.
good things.
My voice is almost gone, bro.
Salam.
Wow, I've shouted too.